G'day, it's Justin Hogg from RightSource here, talking not-for-profits and a series of videos helping people that are looking to start up their not-for-profit or have started their not-for-profit, and how you get those initial things moving so that the not-for-profit can be successful. So governance is something that we do a lot of, and it's something I spend every day looking at governance, and especially with established not-for-profits and their boards and making sure the governance works well. But when you've just started your not-for-profit, how do you put that in place? Like, how do you start governance? Like, it's easy, well, it's not easy, but it's, once it's there, you know what you're working with. But when there's nothing, where do you start? It's actually quite daunting. So let's go through that today. How do you start? How do you get some governance frameworks and processes in place in your not-for-profit without killing yourself? So where you start with governance, and everything comes back to this in not-for-profit, is with your purpose. So you want to make sure you've got the purpose of the not-for-profit well articulated. Your dream, your vision, your mission, whatever you want to call it, but you want to have that articulated in a paragraph, even a sentence if you can, just something very quick, concise, that articulates why the not-for-profit is doing what it's doing, and more importantly, is something that everyone who's working with a not-for-profit both agrees and is aware of, so that everyone understands that's what we're trying to do. That is the first thing you need to do in any governance framework, in any size organization, is you need to be clear on your purpose. Second, that's easy. Second point. So second step you do, once you've got clarity on your purpose, you then need to build a strategy. Now, when you're starting to prepare for your not-for-profit, we sort of talked about this, having half a page of a strategy. A strategy really then is starting to articulate more about, well, that's our purpose. How are we going to do it? What areas are we going to play in? What services are we going to do? How does it all start to fit together? So it starts to frame out and flesh out a little bit more of the purpose and how that's going to be executed. And it tends to be over a long time frame. It's not necessarily how we're going to do it tomorrow, but over the next 3, 5, 10 years, depending on what you want to do, it might even be 2 years. But what are you looking to do in that time period, without too much specifics, but more about these are the goals and these are the things, the pathways we're going to travel to reach our purpose. Now, that strategy document is then what drives a lot of the other governance. Essentially, strategy sits at the top of starting to build your governance framework. So once you've got a strategy, and it doesn't have to be perfect, and strategies will evolve over time. Your purpose will tend to stay pretty clear and pretty consistent. Your strategy will evolve over time as you move down your journey, and as you start getting closer or moving towards your purpose, your strategy will evolve. But you need to have your strategy articulated so you understand where you are now and where you're planning to move. And this is really important because governance is all about creating alignment between people and purpose. So alignment is very much about movement. It's about a journey. So what we're wanting to do in creating this governance framework is have that purpose, and we understand that's where we're going. The strategy starts creating the pathway that then we start understanding, well, and this is how we want all these people to move. That's what governance is. That's how it all fits together. So what we're doing is building those initial components to start bringing the people that we get along on our journey to move on the journey towards our purpose. So we've got purpose, we've got a strategy or a start of a strategy. The next thing you can really look at is risk. Now, this is often something that most people that I talk to starting a not-for-profit who just, they've quit their day job, they're going to go all in, they're going to start a not-for-profit. Why am I talking about risk? I'm already doing the most risky thing I've ever done in my life. I don't want to talk more about risk. I'm already maxed out on risk. Why risk is important now isn't necessarily because it's bad, but it's part of strategy. So when you build a strategy, and implicit in when you're doing this, you'll think of things that, well, if this happens, that could actually make this not be successful. That's a risk. You're identifying risks. So you don't want to get too elaborate on this. You just want to start. So what you want to do when you're building your strategy is just have a risk list. So just start a list of risks. It doesn't have to be any more than that, just a list. And it could be half a page, it could be 4 risks, it could be not, but just start a list. So what are your risks? Now, there's going to be obvious ones, like what if I don't get funding? That's a risk. What if I don't have enough time to do this? What if I can't find the people? These are risks that you're going to be able to find. What if there's someone else already doing this? These are risks that you can articulate and put them down. Just put a list. That's all you need to do. The other thing then you need to do, and this is probably from day one or very soon after you start your not-for-profit, the first thing you can do to start mitigating your risks is insurance. So insurance is a risk mitigator. That's the whole point of it. So if there's nothing else you do, you should get insurance from day one in your not-for-profit. It helps protect your reputation, it helps protect the people that might be working for your not-for-profit, and it helps anyone that you might be working with. So get insurance. So spending some time creating that risk list, understanding what your insurance does, this will start giving you a feel for what risks you've got out there and what risks you're comfortable with. Now, back to the initial start on risk, you're just taking a huge risk starting up a not-for-profit. You're probably comfortable taking quite high or extreme risks, and that's okay. But this will start coming out of this process. So we've got another video that goes into a bit more of how you create this, but starting a risk list is very good to start very early in the not-for-profit. The next thing you can look at doing is an operational plan. Now, this is pretty much an action list at this stage. Like, what are you gonna do? What's the day-to-day, what's the stuff? But start planning out what you need to do. It's good discipline to start getting into and start managing your time and making sure that the things that you're doing in your operational plan day to day make sense in terms of your strategy. And this is the point, making sure that what you've said your strategy is are things that you're doing day to day. If you're doing stuff day to day that doesn't match your strategy, you're wasting your time or you're potentially not being effective. The next component is looking at a fundraising strategy. So and this will probably be part of your strategy, but I think it's important to pull this out and talk about this in particular. You need to understand where you're going to generate funds, because there can often be a lead time on this and you need time to get it moving. So having understanding about how you're going to generate income for your not-for-profit, who your customers are, and understanding how you're going to fill their needs and sell to those customers is as important in a not-for-profit as in any other business. In not-for-profits, it just tends to be more about fundraising than about selling a product. But either way, you need to understand how you're going to raise funds for your organization and make sure that ties in with your strategy, and you've got a plan to how you're going to execute it. Again, doesn't need to be 15 pages long. Half a page does start articulating it, have something somewhere that you're starting to put your thoughts down and put your learnings down as you go. Financial side of things, a budget. Now, do you need a budget? No, you don't. And I can say that as an accountant from day one. Do you need a budget? No, you don't. But it can help. What a budget should really be doing is taking your strategy, again, everything starts with that strategy, and going, well, from a financial aspect, this is how I think we will execute it from a numbers point of view. So this is where we're going to get the cash in, which ties to your fundraising strategy. This is what we're going to spend money on in terms of our operations and who we're going to help. Does that all add up? Are there gaps? That's the first thing it will tell you. Like, are there gaps? How much money do we need? How quickly can we grow? The next thing it will tell you is it will give you an idea of the speed in which your organization is going to grow, or at the level you're going to be able to operate. So it's a useful exercise. Yes, you might not be finance might not be a thing. Get someone in to help you. Have a discussion. It could take a couple of hours, but if you get those financials and understand the money coming in is going to match the money going out, that's very important from a business point of view. So then the last piece of the governance framework to start with is to do with the board. And this is where you're setting up a board. That's one of the first things you do in a not-for-profit. You have to have at least 3 directors there. Is set up a board charter. There's lots of templates out there you can use, so there's definitely starting points you can use. What a board charter really is talking about, and this really is the start of the people aspect of it, is how are we going to work together? That's what it's really talking about. How, as a board, are we going to work together? And then as an organization, that will flow down as well. It will start starting your culture, like it's the melting pot for where your culture starts and starts flowing down. So a board charter is good to start from day one. It'll have the high level policies, how you're working together, how you manage the conflicts of interest, code of conduct, all those type of things will be in the board charter. That document, it doesn't need to be massively long, but board charters can get relatively long, but that is a really important piece to use because it starts the people side. So that's all you need in terms of setting up an initial framework of governance for your not-for-profit, your purpose, which feeds into building the initial strategy, and then feeding into your other components that feed into that. So your board, your budget, your operational plan, starting your risk work, and then also your fundraising strategy. If you can do all that, which sounds like a lot, but if you can touch all that, that is your basis. That's how governance frameworks start. Now, what's next after that? What you'll find next is that each of those things should evolve. So your risk will evolve into more, your strategy document will evolve, your finances and budget will evolve, and they'll grow with your organization. So this is really planting that seed for your governance framework to grow. The thing that probably will evolve the most is that your board charter will, I suppose, give birth, or it will then start to have policies that will fall out where, okay, your code of conduct might be in your board charter, but eventually it'll be its own thing. Delegation of authority, charters, those types of stuff all start to fall out of your board charter. So your board charter won't grow, but what you'll find is your suite of policies that feed into that will start to grow as your organization grows. But at least you've got that starting point that allows everything to grow in a considered way as your organization grows. So that's it for governance for a startup not-for-profit. Hope you found that useful today. As I said, there's a lot of other videos we're doing on helping a not-for-profit startup. We've also got videos on governance in general and accounting on our site, so check those out. Otherwise, thanks for your time today. It's been Justin Hogg from RightSource.